That is today's amazing topic here on the Marketing Insights channel. So, the rise of crypto is an interesting topic in the short term and the near term and the long term and all that. Short term and near term. And as of the very recent past, I don't know, like yesterday, why has Bitcoin and why have other coins seen a steady rise in recent hours? Since yesterday, basically. Well, as was made very clear, and as I prognosticated very publicly, the RMLR was calling for a move, and the volatility was calling for this week to be volatile, with moves to the upside and the downside and back to the upside again, most probably. And so far, that's exactly what we've seen, especially on low time frames, where the trading is juicier by definition, because there are more opportunities, there are more occurrences of opportunity on low time frames, as opposed to on higher time frames, where there will naturally be less occurrences of opportunity. So, what does that have to do with the near-term rise of Bitcoin and cryptos? Well, quite a lot, actually. Technically speaking, you might argue, well, it has nothing to do with this. I would say, technically, thou art not correct. Because the VEPs have a lot to do with how a coin is doing. And if you're going to look at the technical aspects of a coin without looking at the technical analysis of its math using the proper VEPs as opposed to Voodoo TA, which is just lagging indicators, well, then you're not really looking at the whole picture. How is it doing in terms of being a decentralized network, in terms of delivering value to people, in terms of delivering public privacy to people, right? Publicly verifiable private transactions, peer-to-peer, right? Some people call it uncensorable, and I call it what it is. It's a cryptographically signed mathematical protocol. And that enables it to be used as a form of currency, and at the same time to operate and transact that currency on its own network, thus securing itself. And the more people who run mining nodes or Bitcoin in general, the more secure it is. Now you might ask yourself, where is the value in running a Bitcoin node if I'm not a miner? Well, you may not remember this, but there was this idea some years ago in the crypto space, and it still lingers, and it probably still will be the case. Then when pretty much all the mining is done, and that's, happening more and more every year, eventually there won't be any mining left. And if Bitcoin survives beyond that point, what will there be? Well, there'll be transaction processors And you're thinking, well, that's 120 years from now, right? So far, given the computer speeds of the day and the way that the protocol adjusts, yes, it'll probably be around 120 years from now. So you're thinking, well, that's not relevant to me. Oh, really? Because between now and 120 years from now, however many years you got between now and then, you could probably build up a nice business that is processing transactions, even if for very low fees, even if for very small amounts of money. Establish your name, establish your brand, have a very long, beyond your life time horizon. And if you establish it correctly, it is something you could literally pass off to your heirs. Now, if you don't particularly care about that, or if you don't want to leave it to anybody, an employee or your family or whatever, that's up to you. You could possibly even create an open source project that does that. That would be interesting. But at the very least, if you do have a long-term vision that goes beyond your lifetime horizon, and you do want to leave something to your heirs, establishing a transaction-based network can be very useful. Now you can say, well, that's ridiculous. Who wants to set up a business that's only going to be useful in 120 years? Well, maybe certain parts of the business might only be optimized for profit in 120 years. However, there's going to be a loss between now and then that you can still take profit on as a transaction-based business. You can process Bitcoin transactions for people who don't have Bitcoin, who don't have wallets, and you can help onboard them. You can do any number of things that involve you processing crypto transactions. And thus, you could be in a context where you will have the ability to process people's crypto transactions on a much wider scale, because you'll be prepared for all the little steps you need to take to do that. And by the time 120 years or whatever hits from now, your business might even have a lot of customers, right? It's a long runway to build up some customer base. You can do quite a lot in 120 years and build up a customer base so that by the time 120 years hits, whoever is running your business will have a lot of customers, a lot of transactions, a successful business, and you will have started it. Even if you're not around to see it, even if you can't take it with you, as they say, you'll have left something positive behind. Okay? And that could be much, much bigger than you think. So, as the old saying goes, put down your pipe and smoke it. Don't ignore the Bitcoin transaction business. Like, think about MasterCard and Visa. What do? They process transactions. Right? Huge businesses. And they just process transactions. Did they become huge overnight? Not really, no. They had good growth. They were successful companies, but they weren't immediately as massive as they are now, right? And think about it. How long have they even been around for? About half that time? 60, 70 years, something like that, at the most. Whatever it is, American Express has been around a little bit longer than that. Also a big company. So, yeah, things to think about. Happy.